Hi, we're here at the TLA convention in Austin, Texas, and I'm speaking with author David Baldacci. David, is it okay if I call you David?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
I do have a few questions for you.
Okay.
David, what has been the biggest shift in writing adult to young adult books?
I had to quickly understand that I needed to bring my A game. Plotting characters. Kids are so smart these days. They see everything, experience so much more than when I was a kid. So bring your A game. Never write down to kids. They will like flee from you if you do that. So I had to write smart, sophisticated plots and characters to keep them engaged.
Okay, great. What is your opinion about the popularity of young adult literature today?
I think it's fantastic because I think a lot of adults are reading that as well, and you can read it as a family, and you have kids and parents discussing the same book. I mean, how great is that? So I think this sort of trend towards adult fiction and young adult fiction, it all melds together because kids who read young adult fiction, they grow up, they're going to read adult fiction. It's a cycle that's a very positive one.
Very good. Series and YA literature is a very huge draw for teen readers, but there has been a need for more standalone novels. What's your perspective on this?
I've done a lot of standalone novels, adult novels, and I've done a lot of series. And sometimes it depends on what the story is and what you want to say. Over a series, you have the ability to let the characters evolve over time and change, which is great, that you can't do that just in one book. But there are just some stories that are just encapsulated perfectly within one volume. I mean, you look at like To Kill a Mockingbird, that was a perfect book. We didn't need 5 books to understand that story. So it really depends on what kind of story you're trying to tell. Some are suited for a series, some are suited for standalone. I think the world can enjoy both.
Which do you prefer, writing as a writer?
I like the series books just because it gives me a chance to spend more time with the characters and evolve them over time. So I can really see them change and grow, and it gives me more time to lay a little foreshadowing of little nuggets here and there that will only be paid off, and you'll find out the resolution of that in subsequent books.
Okay. How did your background in law school and practicing the law in court prepare you for a career as an author?
Well, I started writing when I was a kid. Being a lawyer and a writer, you have a lot of the same attributes. You work on big projects for long periods of time. You do a little bit each day. You think about it. You're very focused. You're very disciplined, and you move on to the next day, and you build and build and build. At the end of a certain period of time, you have a deal done. You have a case done. The same with a book. And I have to say that lawyers need to use their imagination, and I'll say this later in my remarks today, that some of the best fiction I ever wrote was when I was a lawyer.
What have you learned so far from your YA fans?
Kids are hilarious, and they are very much truth tellers, and they can be very critical, and they don't have as much of a filter, I think, as adults have built in over the years, which I love. I want them to be truthful and straight up and tell me what they think about something. And I've done a lot of interaction with kids with the finisher, and I have to tell you, I love it. Both my kids are grown, but when my kids were small, they were huge readers. I love when they would run around talking about books and stories, and sometimes they would read little snippets of stuff that I've written, and we would have a game where they would read a book, and I would challenge them to write a different ending to it, in their mind, and we would talk about that. So I love interacting with kids.
That's neat. Okay, your foundation says that literacy shares a connection with poverty and hunger. Could you explain this for me?
Well, there's a direct nexus between people who have low literacy skills and are economically disadvantaged, because obviously that's going to temper your job prospects. We partner with Feeding America, which runs all the nation's food banks. I collect books on my tours, and we send those books to food banks across the country. So people coming in seeking food assistance, they need food to live, but having their lives and their homes filled with books can change their lives and change the next generation's life as well. I've never seen a bad result from a book being in a home. I've seen millions of bad results from no books being in a home.
So a book is food.
It absolutely is. It's food for your brain. And you need food to survive physically, but that's not enough. We should do better than that. We should want people to improve themselves, to have the opportunity to excel and reach their potential. You can't do that without strong reading skills, and you can't acquire strong reading skills without books.
Books are the key. And how does giving back through your foundation or other things help you as an author?
Well, I get to experience a wide spectrum of things and meeting people that I otherwise wouldn't. And my adage has always been never judge someone unless you've walked in their shoes. I think sometimes we do that too quickly. We don't understand what other people are going through. So meeting people on all spectrums of life has enabled me both as a person to be better about my life and the choices I make, but also as a writer to be able to write about a vast array of different characters because I've met people from all walks of life. And I feel like I can sort of competently write about those experiences.
Well, David, thank you so much for answering questions.
No, my
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Thank you.